Hello and welcome. Still on Dark Knight, still leveling up to level 77, as is my trust, or at least enough members of it, so we can go into the next Shadowbringers dungeon of... I've never had to read this before. Malikah's Well. Let's try it. I think I've not taken a tank through this dungeon at all because the trust has never been high enough level until now. So this is my first time running this dungeon with a tank. Any tank. Let's see how it goes. I can't even remember which one this is. Just adjusting my volume a bit. Don't know if that was too loud or not. And away we go. Now it's too quiet. I can't hear it. Yep, I'm really prepared for this. Yeah, good luck if I start streaming. Having said that, I do watch. Don't know if any of you are familiar with Linus Tech Tips. I do watch their one show every week, and having said that, I think recently they've been actually not being plagued with technical difficulties at the start, as they have been for a very, very long time. You know, this is their, part of their job to provide a lot, a news broadcast every week. But for a very long time, well, starting late is not necessarily due to technical. It could be many other reasons. But they did have technical difficulties for a very long time. I don't know if it's since this year, because they've been, shall we say, doing more of it from home, as it were. They've finally got a setup that seems to be, by and large, functioning. I don't want to be there. I'm still not using cooldowns, am I? Bad tank. I'm sure this dungeon will come back to me once we see more of it. I'm trying to think, is it a dungeon or is it somewhere else where there's the Indiana Jones bit with a boulder coming down the thing? I think that was a solo instance actually, now I think about it a bit more in the main story, but it might have been related to this. But it's just long enough ago I can't remember, so it's practically new to me again. Who's the boss? I don't remember. On another note, I have finally gone through the skills. Looked through the skill list and tried to figure out what healing potential do I have as a Dark Knight, and the answer is not a huge amount. Let's just try one now. One of them is the 1-2-3 basic attack combo, which might not work because I'm full. Soul Eater, 8,000. What's my maximum HP? I don't know what it is, but it's more than 80,000, so 8,000 is less than 10% of that. So something a bit less than 10% of my max HP every time I do the 1-2-3 combo. Might not be too bad, I suppose. The other skill that gives a heal is this one, but it's on a long cooldown once a minute, so can't directly rely on it. Might be useful in a AoE pack or something, if I really need it. No, just used it then. Abyssal Drain, 3,600, but Soul Eater was only 5,000 that time, so that's even lower than the number I had last time. So 5,000 again for Soul Eater. So okay, it's not going to be a fixed amount, I guess, because does it depend on the damage I'm doing? It says Cure Potency 300, but it doesn't mention anything about it scaling with the damage dealt, so I don't fully understand it then. If it's a fixed cure potency and I haven't changed anything, Why would the number change for healing potency? Anyway, it's still a heal, so in case of emergency, 1, 2, 3, and hope for the best is my best option, I think. It's not going to replace a healer. It's not the big cure that Paladin has, because I think that had a ridiculous, I can't remember the number now, it was a much bigger potency. But if the going gets tough, it'll give me a little bit of HP back. It might be enough to swing the difference and not die. I've also finally read the description of Living Dead. So if I understand it correctly, using it doesn't kill you. Unless when you use it, you take enough damage that you would have been killed, but it saves you from it. But then you still need the heals. That's my understanding of it. I haven't really tested it yet. I did use it once for the first time in combat earlier today in Bozjan. And I was thinking, like, did I just kill myself? Because I thought, maybe I misunderstood it. I thought, was it like a 10-second timer and then I'm dead if I don't get healed? And it's only if I got damaged enough to be killed. Is the understanding anyway. Alright, I do remember this boss. Kind of. I think there's a lot of running about dodging stuff. Although, saying that, of course, that describes an awful lot of the things in this game, isn't it? Running around dodging stuff. I'm sure since Shadowbringers came out, there's a lot more AoEs than there has been. Can I get in there? Yeah. On a plus side, also in Shadowbringers, or since Shadowbringers, I think the AoEs they've been giving classes have been a lot better. And there's been also more opportunity to use them, so it kind of balances out, I suppose, in that sense. Should I? Yeah, probably do something about these ads. Oh, I'm getting hurt. Am I supposed to do something now? I'm running out of buttons to press, so if I am supposed to do something, I am probably doing it wrong. Alpha, will be my best mate, okay? Save me! I'll take back everything nasty I said about you earlier. I'm actually going to move out this time. It did hurt. And this is not the boss I thought it was either, so that means... Is it a different boss in this dungeon, or is it just... I'm just totally wrong? Because I'm sure the one I'm thinking of, it had like knockbacks and all sorts of things like that. Which I'm not seeing here. I mean, it wasn't too bad, the one I'm thinking of, but it's just not this one. It might be one of the 80 dungeons, actually. I'm thinking about it after the initial release. I'll be there yet. It's getting boring again. I'm going to start talking about Genshin Impact if it gets any more boring than this. No, I shouldn't repeat it. I did that last video. Yep, welcome to the greatest streamer in the world, or future streamer, because I haven't actually technically started yet. When you run out of things to say, it's it's reminded me of, I can't remember now, it's one of the James May series, I think, when he took up commentating for horse racing. I think it was a case of, if you're not sure what to say nothing at all. But that was more about preventing mistakes, I think, than, well, making a arse of yourself. Which saying the wrong thing would definitely make you an arse of yourself. So that's where my mind is going now. I'm thinking of the Top Gear trio, of course. Richard Hammond, what used to be a radio presenter, I think. I've never heard him on radio, but there was that episode of Top Gear when they took over one segment for one day and didn't do the best job, let's put it that way. All the little details that you never think about until you actually try it. It's like so many things, you think conceptually it's not that difficult, but getting it to a level where you want to show it to the world, that takes some effort. Actually, on that note, why not talk about how my thoughts about making YouTube videos so far. So I started in seriousness, or some degree of seriousness, this year. That doesn't mean it's the first time I did it, but just the first time I did it to any degree. And you know, the first test of videos I tried, I rapidly realised if you want to do a good job, it takes time. I have since found ways to optimise that time since then, but basically there's no shortcuts. If you want to do something, you have to do it. Although what I did find was you can choose things that take less time than other things. So one of my favourite games, Final Fantasy XIV, this is what you're watching right now. What content would I go for? Now, in the years I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV, I have of course watched other YouTubers. There's MTQ Capture, is it? Miss Tech, for her guides. I think she was one of the first. Mr. Happy as well did guides as well, and also other discussion content, let's say. Larry's all. Healers, why didn't you adjust? That's all I need to say really, isn't it? And I'm going to mention two more names and then I think I'll just draw the line there, which the next two would be, my brain's gone blank, Zeppler. Again, I found her through her YouTube videos, and then I found out she streams as well. So somewhere out there is probably a stream where I discovered her in Eureka, I think it was. And I go like, is it you from YouTube or words of that effect? And she must have been streaming at the time. But I didn't know she was on Twitch. I didn't even know, well, I knew Twitch existed, but I didn't really pay any attention to it. So somewhere out there is a stream on Twitch of me going to Zeppler, are you that person from YouTube? And last but not least by any means is Mioni. And all these people have different areas of, shall we say, the Final Fantasy XIV fandom they cover. Now Miss Tech, I have to say, outside of her guides, I don't really follow her Twitch stuff too closely, so I'm not up to speed on that. I can't comment any further. Mr. Happy, I have to say I haven't been watching as much recently. I used to watch the weekly quite a lot. State of the Realm as well, is it the sort of like the when he goes with others to do a weekly sort of like a chat thing? Now this bit, is this the bit I'm thinking of? No, it isn't. I thought there's an Indiana Jones bit. Right, where were we? Mr. Happy, Larry's All. So it was the Basically series that I think I discovered him with. Nothing much to say really about it, was it? You know, basically the Black Mage, you know. Healers, why didn't you adjust? that was it. He made a big time, I think, from, well, in my opinion, he made a big time from that. I don't know how big he was before that. But certainly that line was everywhere in the fandom after the video. Maybe this is the boss I was thinking of last time. We'll see in a second. Yep, this is the boss I was thinking of. And now we have to do the run around in a circle thing, is it? Ooh. At least it's quite slow moving. Who else have we got? Zeppler. I can't remember which video or, you know, what content I found first before I started following her. It was definitely YouTube content and not Twitch content. Like I just said, you know, I didn't even know Twitch existed at the time. But she made, you know, interesting, funny videos, I think is the best way to put it. And finally, again, last but not least, there's Mioni. Most videos, I would say, would be on the informational side, so that's probably how I discovered him as well. I don't recall exactly what I saw first. So if I'm going into Final Fantasy XIV videos, what am I doing that's different from everyone else? It doesn't have to be different, but if I'm going to duplicate it, I'm still going to have to just differentiate myself. So I'm going to leave that as an open question, actually. If you're watching this, and generally speaking on this video, on this type of video, I don't get a huge number of views. You know, what would you like to see? What would you like to see different? Is there something I could do different to make it better, more interesting? It's just an open question. So I'm making gameplay videos, they are not instructional, so this is not how to play tank, because I'm the last person to be telling you how to play a tank. It's not necessarily humorous unless by chance, you know, by that I mean I'm not, you know, intentionally making this a comedy of sorts, you know, like how to wipe in whatever, I don't know. I did dabble a bit with other types of content. It's kind of whatever interests me, I suppose. I think that's one of the unwritten rules, or it might even be a written rule, that if you do stuff you're interested in, you're more likely to do it well, and people will hopefully recognise and like that. Rather than me try to do something I don't like, because I think more people would like it, you know, would that mismatch? Ooh, I levelled. Yeah. Trying to be something I'm not, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Might not be a great idea. I said I wasn't going to mention any more Final Fantasy XIV video makers, but I will mention one more I've been watching recently, which is Tiny Blue Games. He goes, I think he says at the beginning of his videos, he's called Chris or Seesaw. C-S-A-W, I think it's written as. And that I found interesting because it's done in the style of, basically, he's new to Final Fantasy XIV, relatively speaking. And this is him playing through the game for the first time. So he's not the first person to do that. He's not going to be the last person to do that. But however it happened, I stumbled upon one of his videos and I keep watching them. I had kind of half debated doing, maybe if I start streaming, or it would double as YouTube content as well, New Game Plus, because I want to relive some of the old stuff. I can't remember most of Heaven's Ward. I hate to admit it, I rushed Heaven's Ward. Don't do that. And so my memory of it was, my memory's not great enough in the first place. But because I rushed it, I don't think I took it all in as it should have. So doing New Game Plus is something I'm considering. What else is there? Don't know if anyone here has watched it. I did try to make a animated short using the in-game Final Fantasy XIV engine. I just call it I can't even say the word. The cat things in this universe. C-O-E-U-R-L. Curl? Yeah, those things. It's my first attempt at making a, like I said, a short video. And I would love to do more with that, I think, but it's so time consuming. The whole video I think was only about 3 or 4 minutes long, and it took me on and off about a week I think to do it. So it's not a huge amount of video recording content, but to try to get things set up so you can make the video recording, it took some time. I ended up getting a free account, a trial account I should say, and using that as my camera basically. So then I had to run between two systems, so I had to move the camera into place and then I had to run back to my normal system, perform the actions as required to get the footage I wanted. And even that was, you can imagine, quite time consuming. And whilst I did most of it myself, it'd be a bit boring video, so I did want to get more people involved, and I did get some friends involved. And then of course it came down to when were they available, then try to get them to do the right thing at the right time. And like I said, I enjoyed it, but it was time consuming, and to do a really good job I think I need to think more about the storytelling as well. It's only a few minutes, it's quite a simple story, if you can even call it that. So if you haven't seen it already, it's on the channel somewhere. If I remember, I might even put a link to it in the description. What else is there? Other game video content. Again, it's a kind of a. Oh, is that boss? This could be fun. Trying to do this boss and try talking at the same time. Let's go for it. It's not that bad, I suppose, but it's just a case of moving around. Hit the wrong button. Doesn't matter. Just dodging stuff and running around in circles, I think, pretty much. Again, that's a lot of content in here, isn't it? Right, so we want to be on the corners. Other game content, again it comes down to games I like. So City Skylines, I have been neglecting. I really need to spend more time on that at some point. I want to build more cities, but I want to level up here, and I want to play Genshin Impact, and I play mobile games still. It never ends. Genshin Impact, I think it's more of a solo experience. I just do the dailies, like I said, so it's not the most exciting content. So apart from my initial impressions video, maybe I should do a follow-up impressions video. That could be an idea. You know, how much has changed since I started playing this game. Well, not this game, Genshin Impact. You know, would I say something different now about what I think about the game? I think I would do, actually. because what I'm doing in game now is definitely different from what I was doing in game in the first couple of days or so. And there's an open question on what its future might be. The mobile games, I don't think I'm likely to make significant content on those. I am currently actively playing, daily active playing that is, 2 games on mobile, Azure Lane and Love Live All Stars. So taking on one at a time, Azure Lane, I've been playing that since launch more or less. And I'd still like it obviously if I'm still playing it. But I don't feel I could make any meaningful video on that. Apart from one idea, and it's quite an easy one I suppose. Which is, I've been debating actually if I should do a top 10 waifu series for multiple games. It doesn't have to be limited to one game. So who do I think are the top characters I would want as my waifu? I hate this bit. Gotta think. Because if you mess up, it hurts. So that's about the only content I think I might make for Azure Lane if I do any. I did make a one-off video on one of the events, or one part of the event. It got a little bit of interest, but I don't think it's going to be my main thing. Love Live, More Stars, not to be confused with School Idol Festival, the first game. Again, top 10 waifus is an easy one. Does anyone really care though? One way to find out, I could just make the video and see if anyone watches it. I did think about kind of like a beginner's guide to team building as well. There are much better players out there on the game than me, and I don't necessarily understand everything that I would need to understand to make a team building guide. But if I specifically target it at beginners, I think that limits the scope enough for me to do something useful. It's not very intuitive, and you know, a few pointers here and there could help. But anyway, that's this, another dungeon done. What do we get? What's in the box? A spear. I'm not getting great loot, am I? I don't need a spear. Alright. Time to end the video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.